Oh boy, today we're going to get into a good one. This is the 2004 model Cadillac truck. It has the timing chain rattle in the 3.6. Just rattles, and it sounds like it's coming from up there around the cylinder heads. This is the SRX 2004 Cadillac. Has a pretty severe timing chain rattle, and we're going to get into that today and show you what all's involved in doing this. And I went ahead and took the opportunity to go ahead and remove the bolts from the cross bar here, so I could just remove it. Speed things up a little bit on this, because this is going to be quite a long video. I'm going to try and shorten it down, as much as I can. After you've done that, you'll want to remove your caps from your oil and your reservoir there, and remove this shield. It just pops up. It has a couple little dowels and rubber fittings that fit on top of the pins, and then subsequently down there into that rubber fitting. So that just pops right off. You'll unbolt the bar, pop that off, and then you'll be looking at a little bit more of the engine. And of course, to get in there to that timing chain cover, when you get to this stage here, you're going to look at it and be like, oh, it's exposed, it's not that bad. And it's really not. Just stick with me, we'll get there. Then you're going to want to loosen up the intake hose on both ends. I've already done mine, and remove that. Put it over here in our pile. Then we're going to go along the intake, and we're going to disconnect all these fittings. I've already undone a couple of them, just slide them out. Then we're going to come along and take out these tins, which are just holding the retainers for the harnesses and different brackets and things all the way around on the outside. Now that's not going to be loosening up the intake any at all. It's just going to remove the fasteners that hold everything to the intake. And you'll have a couple on the back side too. This is a heat shield. It just pulls out like so. Then you'll have some electrical connectors back there to disconnect, and a couple more of those tins for the brackets. Then we're going to get into the main bolts on the intake, what hold the where the upper plenum, intake, as you might be more familiar with. We're going to remove the bolts for the upper plenum, and one time we've got it all disconnected, and we're going to get ready to pop that off of there. We'll go ahead and get some bolts out, and I'll be right back with you. So we got all the bolts out. I went around, took out all the tins, and got all the harnesses and all the electrical connectors back there, and all the tins out. Didn't remove this one, it just holds in the sensor. Undid our hoses, come around, undid everything. When you get up here to the front, you'll remove this plastic off the house. It kind of snaps in right there where my pinky's at. And this hose here, I wanted to show you how that operates, because it's kind of difficult if you don't know how. There's a small locking tab right here, and it'll be located up underneath. So if you'll put your finger in there, you'll feel that tab. Just pick it up like that, and you'll be able to slide it over the nipple there. So you'll put your finger up underneath it, release the tab, and pull it back. It's got a little hook on it, so you want to push it to the back and then push it out. I don't know if you can see that or not. So you want to slightly push it to the back and then open it up, and it'll slide right off. I show that because I've seen these broken a lot. People trying to pry them off and don't know how they operate. It's just as simple as putting your finger in, pushing it back and up. No problem. Alright, now we got all that done. The intake's loose. So what I'm going to do is this little bracket right here, we're taking the tin out of, and we'll pick it up and over and out of the way and take it off the engine now. And we'll take a look from there. Alright, so that just picked up out of there really nicely, man. It was just so easy. We're looking so good. And the reason we had to do all that was because the upper valve cover bolt here, you wouldn't be able to release it. And it's into the timing cover with that intake on. Not only that, but this water jacket right here in the front, you're going to want to remove that because it kind of wraps around the front of the timing cover here. Fighting. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to put a catch pan up underneath it to catch this antifreeze. And we're going to remove this water neck housing, and if you'll look at it closely, you'll just see that it's got a 10mm here and a 10mm there. Then there's an O-ring around the housing where it slides into the lower plenum, or the intake, and then you'll have these two hoses, the lower radiator hose and the bypass hose here, that you'll want to disconnect. What I usually do is A lot of times just leave the hoses on there and pull this whole water neck housing back here to the housing. I use a bungee cord or something to hold it here out of the way. Still gives me plenty of working room, just saves me a shortcut from disconnecting and all that stuff. But this is so dirty. See all the dirt all over there. I'm going to go ahead and remove it and wash it and put it back on, make it all look nice. So I'm going to wash the front timing cover, and you can see we're getting a little bit of leakage there. So we're going to go ahead and put valve cover gaskets, intake gaskets, front timing cover will be resealed, and we're going to fix them timing, the chain tensioner won't get in there. But that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to remove this water neck housing, and then we're going to remove the computer box, the ignition module here, and then we're going to remove the reservoir. And the right here, you'll see there's a 13. Right here there'll be a bolt, and then right around here on the side of the intake, if you come around and up underneath these, you'll find a 10mm at the back. Not the 10mm that's holding the harness, but the 10mm at the back right here on the right above the exhaust manifold. Locate that 10mm, remove that, and these two on the front, and then we're going to pick this module up and lay it over here to the side. And we're going to take this and just lay it over here to the side as well. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to strip them 3 components off of there right now. Alright, there it is with the water neck undone and the control module pulled up and over to the side, just so I can see. Now I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these electrical connectors to the cam, timing sensors, and all that stuff up here on the front. And it's just going to expose the alternator bracket right there really, really well, so you can see how it's attached. Now all this is very dirty. We're going to clean it all up, of course. We're going to undo all these electrical connectors, get them out of the way. They were behind the ignition module. Then we're going to remove this reservoir much the same way. Right here on the back side of the reservoir, up underneath, there's 2 10mm on this nut, not this 13 or this 10. There's 2 10s on the bracket right there. And then over here where the bracket comes to the head, I believe it's a 17mm up underneath. So you'll go up underneath the jug, 2 10s and a 17, and then you'll just move the jug over to the side. And then that's going to remove everything from the front there, and we're really going to be making good time from here on out. So that's what I'm going to do now, is remove that jug. Alright, that third bolt was an 18, my bad. There's 2 10s and an 18 on the reservoir, and I just tucked it around to the side. I got the ignition module pulled up and over, and the wiring harnesses and all stacked up there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a 1/2-inch drive, and I'm going to put it right here in the tensioner on the belt. The reason being so I can use that 1/2-inch drive to pull down on the tensioner and remove the tension from the belt and remove it. Go ahead and take the belt off. But before I remove the tension from the tensioner, excuse that jet, it get loud sometimes. But before I remove the tension here and remove the belt, I'm going to loosen all these bolts here on this pulley. Because while the belt's on there, that'll help hold this still while I crack these nuts loose. Because I'm going to want to remove this water pump pulley, the belt, and then the bracket on the alternator and the tensioner assembly. I'm going to remove the bracket from the front of the engine. But you'll have to remove this pulley because there's a couple of bolts, like this one here for instance, that go through to the cover into the block that won't come out because the pulley's in the way. So first thing I'm going to do is loosen these, loosen the tension, remove the belt, remove the bracket, and I'll touch base. Alright, now we're going to jump to the other side now that we've removed that belt pulley and gotten all the bolts out of the face of the alternator bracket. There's one more bolt on the very bottom of the bracket, back side of the alternator, that comes in from the back side like this, that we're going to save for last because I just love getting that one. So I'm going to save that one for last, and I'm going to jump over here to this side, and I'm going to remove this tensioner for the power steering and the AC compressor. I'm going to do it the same way. I'm just going to pull the tension up off the belt, remove the belt, and remove the nut. Of course I'm lying, I got air tools. I'm just going to hit the nut and let it fly. But the proper way to release tension, remove the belt, and remove the nut. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Then we'll jump over to that side, remove that nasty little bolt, and then we'll get that bracket out of the way. And we'll be fairly well exposed on the front timing cover and ready to start removing that. Alright, so we got our alternator bracket off, alternator third there to the side. There's 13s on the bottom of the bracket. and you'll need to remove the 13s off of the coolant hose and just push it down and out of the way a little bit to get to the 15 or the 13 that mounts to the wall, and then the one more 15 that hooks to the thing. You'll get all three of those from the bottom. Anyway, you'll figure that out. Alright, so we're ready to yank this cover off. We got the tensioner and the belt off on this side. So right now what we're going to do is take a good strong look at it, and as you go around you'll notice some of these bolts will go through the cover and into the block. Those are the bolts you'll want to remove. The ones holding the pump to the cover are okay. If you see a channel where it runs all the way through, you'll want to remove that bolt. This one runs all the way through. There's going to be one or two on this pump, like this one down here on the bottom. It's getting dark. This one here on the bottom is good. You can leave it be, and you'll figure that out. But we're just going to go around and start loosening up bolts. We're going to take them out of the top of the valve cover there, and I'm just going to go around and start removing them. Get it all ready to go. That's what we're looking like right now. We're also, while I'm looking at it, going to remove the bolt out the center of the crank and get a crank pulley set, and I'll show you how that works to pull off this little crank pulley.